you should enter this year's womanless pageant at school. I could be your coach." Emily enthusiastically entreated her younger brother. "I don't know, everyone laughs at the contestants," said Liam, who was 15 and a sophomore at Evergreen Park Middle School. "Come on, it'll be fun. It just depends on how you treat the event. Remember last year? Some contestants treated it like a joke and came off looking like drag queens. They got laughed at. But remember Bobby and Jake? They really tried hard to look like girls and the crowd was impressed. No one thought any less of them the next day when they came back to school looking like the boys they had always been. If anything, the only ones that I saw take a ribbing were the ones that entered but tried to make a joke of it." Liam was still wary. He usually got along well with Emily, who was 2 years older, but he couldn't bring himself to trust her implicitly. "Why do you want me to do it? You seem pretty anxious for me to enter." "For me it'll be a fun challenge. I can practice what I've learned in my cosmetology class. You know I want to work in theatrical makeup. If I can make a boy look like a girl, it will be a great entry in my portfolio. For you, it's a chance to learn a little about taking care of yourself. You have gorgeous thick hair, why do you always hide it under that cap? I don't know how to make it look good, it just curls up in the wrong way." Liam was wearing his typical outfit, sweatpants and a t-shirt, as casual and uninspired as a boy's outfit could be. "See, that's exactly what I mean. We can spend the next 2 months before the contest practicing at home. Along the way you'll learn to manage your hair as well as a little about what it's like to be a girl." "Well, maybe. What would Mom think about it?" "I'm sure Mom will be thrilled to see you putting some effort into taking care of yourself. We can talk to her at dinner tonight." At that, Emily turned and went into her bedroom to change. She wanted to take off the new shirt dress she wore to meet the school's dress code and changed into a lightweight strapless romper and flat-form mules that she kept for inside use. Liam and Emily lived with their mother in the suburbs. Their father, George, had died of an undiagnosed heart defect a few years previously. No one saw it coming. He appeared to be in great health but simply collapsed at work one day. Despite the loss of their father, the kids lived comfortably with their mom and were a close, loving family. Scarlett, the kids' mother, had met George in law school. They married immediately after convocation and both joined law firms in the city. George with a prestigious criminal law firm and Scarlett joined the law department of a large corporation. They were both driven to succeed and had quickly risen to the top of the pay scale. George's criminal work often required long and irregular hours. However, he made the most of family time, always making sure he had quality time with the kids. After passing the bar exam, Scarlett had quickly been recognized for having a keen insight into legal issues. That had allowed her to rapidly develop a leading role in the legal department. She and George both wanted to establish their careers before starting a family. Scarlett took a leave from work when Emily was born. She stayed home to raise her and Liam until both had started school. Given the strong reputation she had left behind a few years earlier, she was able to jump right back into her law career. Scarlett was pulling into the garage in her understated Mercedes. Between her salary and George's life insurance, she could have afforded virtually any car but preferred to keep up a classy appearance without looking ostentatious. While maintaining a career at that level took time, she liked to start her days in the office early to ensure she could always be home in the evenings to have dinner with her kids. She wondered what Liam would have made for dinner today. Once the kids reached the higher grades of elementary school, she had insisted that they each take the cooking class. On weekdays, since the kids got home from school mid-afternoon, they took turns making dinner for the family. Each had their favorite dishes. Scarlett had told Liam to ensure there was a vegetable included in every dinner and to keep the pizza frequency down to no more than once a fortnight. "Hello, I'm home," Scarlett was unbuckling the ankle strap of her purple stilettos. They were a perfect complement for the dark blue skirt suit she wore to the office that day. She liked wearing quite high heels at work. They made her feel confident and powerful. Over time, her workday look had evolved into a power suit that exuded authority with femininity. She felt she could be a powerful contributor in the corporate world without trying to look like a man. "Hi Mom, I'm making a chicken curry with rice. It'll be ready in a couple of minutes." Scarlett was impressed that Liam was expanding his culinary horizons. As they gathered at the table, Liam was placing a steaming pot of curry there that looked like it had a good balance of assorted vegetables. "Mom, I suggested to Liam that he should enter the womanless beauty pageant at school this year," offered a boy in Emily. "Oh, and what do you think, Liam?" "I'm not sure. How would the kids at school react?" "Emily promised to teach me about managing long hair, which would be useful, but what do you think?" He was concerned about losing friends. "If you are willing, I think it would be great fun. I'm sure Emily would be willing to help coach you for the pageant, and I'd be happy to support the endeavor with whatever clothes you might need." Emily was nodding her agreement vigorously. "You're not worried about what people might think of me?" "I don't care what other people think as long as you are having fun and learning. I remember there were a couple of boys last year that really tried to be convincing girls. No one was laughing at them. If you put in some effort and try your best, I think you will find the girls certainly will appreciate your effort, and the guys will at the very least reserve their scorn for the ones that try to make a joke of it. True friends will respect you for trying something new." "Well, maybe, let me think about it." Emily piped in, "Okay, but make a decision quick so we can start rehearsing and preparing outfits." Liam was reassured by both his sister's enthusiasm and his mother's acceptance of the idea. The truth was, he desperately wanted to enter the pageant but was afraid to let that enthusiasm show. Liam had, as far back as he could remember, wanted to dress like his sister. He liked the feminine things she had. The reason he took so little effort in keeping up his appearance was that he had no interest in boyish looks but was afraid to let anyone know he wanted to look girly. Since he was afraid of letting his true desires be known, he stuck to dull sweatpants or jeans. He let his hair grow long, almost to his shoulders, as that was not uncommon for boys these days. However, he pretended not to care about it and kept it hidden under a hat of some sort anytime he went out. What no one knew was that he enjoyed brushing it out for long periods before bed, imagining what it would look like when styled in different ways. The next day was Friday, and it was Emily's turn to cook. As they were sitting down to dinner, Emily couldn't help herself and was rapidly firing off encouragement for Liam to enter the pageant. "It works out great that you're 2 years younger. Your growth spurt hasn't started yet, so you're still about my height and slim. If we just add a little padding to your hips and a bra, you could be a very convincing girl. Your facial features are not particularly masculine or feminine. I think with the right makeup you can be very pretty." Liam was uncertain if he liked that last comment or not. However, despite his fears, he had decided that having his sister and mother supporting him in looking like a girl was too great an opportunity to pass up. "Relax, Emily, I'll do it." Emily was anything but relaxed. "Awesome. This is going to be great fun, for both of us, you'll see." She had added the "for both of us" after a brief pause. "Mom, can we go shopping tomorrow?" "We can start tomorrow. Just remember that this will be a 2-month training session, not a 1-day shopping trip. Last year's winner and runner-up did not put together that appearance in one weekend. There is a talent portion in the pageant. I assume you'll play piano for that." Liam nodded in agreement. He was proud of the skill he had built on the piano. "You also need to have a girl's name for the contest." Scarlett suggested, "How about Lena? That is what your father and I had picked out in case you had been a girl. We took the traditional route of finding out the baby's sex when you were born." Lena sounds okay, said Liam, who secretly was thrilled at the sound of the name. Scarlett went to see Emily later that evening. Preparing Liam to compete in the pageant sounds like it will be a lot of fun. I know, with his slight frame and having 2 months to work on it should make us top contenders. Tomorrow we can start shopping at Miss Vicky's formalwear, the place I found my prom dress. Emily, you might want to temper that enthusiasm just a little bit. You saw that Liam is nervous. It seems like he wants to join in but is worried about what people will think. He gave you a lukewarm commitment to enter the pageant. If you push him too hard, he might back out. You're right, Mom. I hadn't thought of that. How can I help him stay committed? Start slower. Prom dress shopping can come later. You need to get him feeling comfortable in girls' clothes, starting with skirts and high heels at home, where he feels safe. Ease him into the idea by coaching him on how to walk in heels, how to sit, stand, and handle a skirt. He needs time to learn the deportment that you have studied your whole life without even thinking about it. For tomorrow, let's get him some shoes and 1 or 2 casual skirts or dresses. You could have coaching sessions after school. I'll help encourage him to leave the clothes on for the evening so he has more time to get used to it. That's a great idea, Mom. I'll find a short skirt so he gets used to sitting with his legs together and a long one so he learns how to handle a lot of fabric in case we decide on a long gown for the contest. He'll need a bra, and if we get him a girdle, I can carve breast and hip pads out of foam. Changing the shape of a performer is a key part of theatrical costuming. This weekend just get the skirts and shoes, hold off on the foundation garments for another week so he's not overwhelmed. I should think a boy's first bra fitting might be a bit traumatic. Help him build some commitment for a week before we tackle that part. For shoes, he should have a fairly high heel so he can build the strength and stamina needed in his calves and ankles. Make the first pair something not too hard to walk in though, maybe a wedge would be a good start. Also, look for something with a buckling ankle strap. That way putting the shoes on will feel like a small commitment. He will be more likely to wear them for the evening and not just pop out of them after your practice session. Thanks for the advice, Mom. You seem as excited about this as I am. I just think that there could be several benefits to this event for Liam as well as you. It's a chance to get him out of the house and involved in something rather than hanging around at home playing computer games. Also, since this is all about appearance, I hope some pride in his appearance rubs off. Even if he can't directly use what he learns here, it could still kickstart him thinking about how he looks. Now, excuse me, I'm going to call your aunt and ask her if she can meet us at her store a half hour before their regular opening time. That should take a lot of anxiety away from Liam on step 1. The next morning was Saturday. Scarlett wore an airy maxi dress with flats to give her feet a break from the weekday heels. She woke the kids a little early so they could have breakfast and head across town. Helen's clothing store was on the opposite side of the city, over an hour's drive away. There were stores closer, but the opportunity to shop in a closed store with only family present was important to reassure Liam. Emily was in an off-the-shoulder skater dress and trendy platforms. Liam was in his usual sweatpants with a cap over his hair. They pulled up in front of the El Castillo clothing store that Scarlett's younger sister Helen owned a franchise for. Helen let them in and locked the front door as they were not officially open for business yet. Well, Liam, your mom told me you want to enter this spring's womanless pageant. You've come to the right place. I don't recall seeing you in the store before, but your sister likely told you that this is the hot place for trendy teen girls to shop. We carry a wide range of shoes and clothes. What were you looking for today? Liam was reassured by Helen's calm acceptance of the unusual situation. Emily piped up, for today we just want a pair of shoes and a couple of casual outfits for Liam to practice in. I see a great pair of wedges. What size does he need? Let's measure your feet, Liam. Put your left heel at the back of the measuring tool, said Helen. After quickly adjusting the device, she noted, "You must have inherited your mother's bone structure. I bet you have a hard time getting men's shoes that fit right since your feet are so narrow." Liam agreed that his sneakers were usually too wide and offered poor support. Helen quickly retrieved the shoes from the back of the store. Liam looked nervous, but at Helen's request he sat on the bench and tried on the shoes. "Stand up and walk around," Helen asked. After closely watching Liam's first tentative steps in heels, she said, "At this point I would normally ask how they feel, but you have no past experience for comparison. It looks to me like they are not sliding around on your feet or too tight." Liam agreed that they seemed to fit okay. Meanwhile, Emily was sorting through a rack of dresses. She handed a short, orange sundress to Liam. "Try this on, the change room is over there." Liam started to sit down so he could take off the wedge sandals. No, leave the shoes on so we can see the whole outfit," instructed Emily. Liam glanced at the front door of the store, which was still locked, and headed into the change room. A couple of minutes later the door opened and he peeked out. "Step out, Liam, let's have a look," asked Helen. Liam took a couple of tentative steps from the change room door. "You look great. We just need to pull this hat off." "It's awfully short," said Liam. "A little gust of wind would show my underwear to the world." "It's no shorter than what I'm wearing," pointed out Emily. "Learning to maintain your modesty while wearing a short dress is the point of this exercise." "The dress is just a tad tight around the chest," commented Helen. "This was a small, Emily. Do you see the same style in medium on the rack?" While Liam was confirming that the medium was a better fit, Emily was selecting the second ensemble they had planned for that day. She handed Liam a ruffled off-the-shoulder top and a bright maxi skirt to try. "Why do I need this top? I thought the idea was to get used to wearing skirts. Why can't I just wear a t-shirt with the skirt at home?" "No one will see me anyway," objected Liam. "Well, when we get your prom dress for the pageant, it will have a lot more exposed shoulder and chest than you're used to showing. You can't win if that makes you feel uncomfortable and you're trying to hide yourself." Liam saw the logic in that but was not sure such a feminine ruffled top was really needed. He disappeared into the change room and was reassured when all three women complimented him as he came out. "Your thin frame is perfect for this. You can easily pass as a teenage girl with a boyish figure," said Helen. "Well, that's what we needed to accomplish for today," said Scarlett. "Liam, get changed into your boy clothes for the drive home while I pay Helen for these. It's time that she needs to open the store." As soon as Liam closed the change room door, Helen unlocked the front door and flipped over the open sign. After the clothing store, Scarlett pulled up in front of a salon. "Why are we stopping?" Liam asked. "I want to get a consultation on what we could do with your hair. Since it's almost shoulder length, I think there would be multiple ways it could have a unisex cut. Then you could change it from a boyish look to one more feminine." That explanation satisfied Liam, so he went in and pulled off the hat. The stylist thought it was a great idea to enter the womanless pageant and excitedly offered up several ways his hair length could be styled to look masculine or feminine. After much discussion, with Liam quietly paying close attention, she gave him a trim for shape without making it shorter overall. Back home, Emily encouraged Liam to put on the new dress and shoes before dinner. Scarlett liked to make elaborate dinners on the weekends, so that gave the teens time for a first coaching session. Liam looked a little ungainly at first, so Emily demonstrated how to walk gracefully in heels, how to keep elbows in, and how to sit in a short dress. Liam tried to soak it all in. "Just keep practicing and it will become second nature in a little while." "How should I hold my arms?" "There are no pockets in this," Emily suggested, clasping hands together in front while standing straight. Liam looked in the full-length mirror while trying that. "Yeah, I guess that does look natural." With just a little encouragement from Emily and Mom, Liam had agreed to wear one of his new outfits for dinner and the rest of the evening on any day he did not need to go out, which was most days. He found the long skirt difficult to manage. At first he stepped on the hem whenever he tried to stand and even rolled the casters of his desk chair on top of it. Gradually he got used to pulling it up when it would get in the way. Later in the week, Scarlett spoke to Emily about Liam's progress. "Congratulations on getting Liam to wear his dresses every evening. He's starting to look natural in them. He's gradually picking up the deportment details I've demonstrated. He still tends to take too long a stride when walking though," noted Emily. "Why not get him into a tight pencil skirt? That will force him to take shorter steps. Let's go shopping again this Saturday. We can get a wiggle skirt and perhaps it's time he stepped up to stilettos." "That's a great idea, Mom. Thanks for supporting this. I think prepping for the contest has been fun for all of us." In their second trip to El Castillo, Emily picked out a tight, feminine floral print skirt and a bright yellow coordinated top, along with white stiletto sandals. When Liam stepped out of the change room, she noticed that the pieces fit well, but this top clearly needed some padding to look right. Also, there was one other issue, a noticeable bulge in the front of the skirt. Having survived and become somewhat comfortable with shopping for ladies' clothes, Liam was ready to agree to stop at a lingerie store where Emily helped select a bra, which they bought in 3 colors, and a girdle. Emily explained the girdle is mostly to hold the padding I plan to carve out of foam to add to your hips and butt. "Okay sis, but why do we need 3 bras?" "To coordinate with the different outfits you wear at home. I'm going to carve foam breast pads. They will be weighted with a bit of steel shot hidden inside for natural weight. You should wear them every time you're dressed, so the feeling becomes second nature." Emily lowered her voice so no one else would hear one other thing. "When you're wearing tight clothes, you need to tuck." "What does tuck mean?" "It means you hide your junk, so your front looks as smooth as a girl. I found some instructions on the internet." Liam realized that Emily had been researching how to make an effective contestant for a womanless pageant. After a couple of weeks of wearing dresses and heels at home, Liam was feeling completely comfortable dressing that way in front of his sister and mother. He was also looking quite natural in his movements. He had started to wear makeup too. Emily had suggested he needed to get used to that so he did not smear something on the night of the pageant by forgetting it was there and touching his face. She had taught him about how to apply it, explaining that he might need to touch something up when she was not around. That had gradually led to Liam doing the complete makeup job under Emily's tutelage. Liam was trying to act nonchalant about the training sessions each evening. He didn't want his mom or sister to know that he actually loved every minute. He would race home after school and start the transformation. He had tried to casually suggest that since he was wearing skirts every evening, he perhaps should have a couple more for added variety. Scarlett wondered what was really behind that comment but said nothing and brought home some more clothes. She was happy to see Liam caring about how he looked. One new dress was an ankle-length hobble dress. Scarlett thought Liam needed more work to get used to making smaller movements. In this one he really struggled to walk. He naturally wanted to try for a long stride that was impossible. "Don't try to fight it, get used to taking tiny steps or you'll look unnatural," encouraged Emily. "Remember, guys naturally spread out to fill the space they're in, but girls try to look petite. Sit with your knees together and elbows in. Try clasping your hands in your lap." After a few weeks, Liam was starting to look quite natural dressed as a girl. Each evening there would be 3 women at the table for dinner, and that felt normal to all of them. One evening at dinner, Scarlett noted there are 4 weeks left before the pageant. "We should get started looking for your formal dress, Liam. It will take some time to get that right." Liam agreed but wondered, where can we shop? Aunt Helen's shop does not carry formal wear. Well, I remember last year the Hello Beautiful boutique was bragging about having sold the dress to the womanless pageant winner, so what we redoing would come as no surprise to them. Emily piped in. Why don't you go dress shopping as a girl? That will attract the least attention. Liam was perplexed. He was secretly thrilled at the thought but also terrified he would be seen as a boy in a dress in public. That's actually a good idea. You are looking very natural now after practicing at home for a few weeks, added Scarlett. We should get you a casual afternoon look. That requires a more moderate heel. You've been wearing stilettos at home, but teen girls only wear heels that hide to formal events. On Saturday, they again left early to meet Helen at her shop. They wanted to pick out a new pair of trendy mid-heel shoes for Liam. To get ready, Emily helped Liam with his hair and makeup so he would look as girlish as possible, this being the first time he would be heading out in public that way. Liam looked like a typical teen girl in a black knit top with a short black leather jacket, a brown suede mini skirt and sneakers. As they were getting in the car, Emily noticed him open the back door, swing one leg and then sit down. Luckily no one else was in the garage to see the considerable flash of panties. Emily demonstrated how to sit down first, then swing in both legs, keeping the knees close together. After a couple of practices runs, Liam looked much more elegant performing the maneuver. After a stop at El Castillo, Liam wore a cute pair of modest black ankle boots with a chunk mid-height heel that complemented his short skirt and jacket. They then headed over to the formal wear boutique. Although Liam had grown accustomed to wearing skirts and heels at home, he found that a short skirt and even modest heels left him feeling vulnerable when in public. The short skirt left far more exposed than he was used to. It also left the area he most wanted to keep out of sight barely covered. Walking with his mother and sister out on the street seemed very different than just wearing heels around the house. He realized that at home he had been walking slowly without thinking about it. The distances were short and he was not walking with anyone. Now he struggled to keep up with their ordinary walking pace. He did not dare ask them to slow down, so he hustled to match their pace. At the Hello Beautiful boutique, Liam listened but did not contribute to a conversation about what would look best on him. A professionally dressed 20-something walked up to them. "Hi, I'm Sarah, what can I help you find today?" Scarlett responded, "Hi Sarah, we are looking for a prom dress. My son will be entering the upcoming womanless pageant at his school and is determined to show well." "That's awesome, I helped Jake Chambers get fitted last year and I heard he ended up winning. What styles were you thinking of, long or short, off the shoulder or long sleeves? What about color?" Emily jumped in. "Hi, I've been coaching Liam on how to handle long dresses. I think that would impress the judges. I've made some padding to give him hips and a bust line, but we should choose a cut that will hide those edges. Especially with the bust, that might be easiest with a high neckline." "That makes sense. Will you be bringing the contestant in so we can measure him?" Liam had been silent up to now, but realizing that this woman hadn't even realized he was not a girl gave him the confidence to softly reply, "I'm the contestant, you can measure me now." Sarah looked genuinely surprised. "Wow. You will be a serious contender. Just pop that jacket off and I'll check your size." With measurements noted, Sarah led the three ladies over to a section of prom dresses. "Let's find something long but with a slit to show off those long slim legs," suggested Emily. They looked through a selection of dresses in bold, feminine colors, reds, pinks, lavenders and purples. After selecting 3 possible options, it was time for Liam to try them on. Sarah hoisted the dresses and said, "Follow me to the change room, I'll help you get into the gowns." Liam froze. It had not occurred to him that he might need to undress in front of a stranger. Sarah noticed and added, "This way, it's in the center of the store." Sensing the reluctance but not realizing why, she added, "I always help the customers get dressed. It's store policy. We need to make sure we don't get any makeup on the gowns." Liam stood frozen. Emily whispered to him, "What's wrong?" afraid that he might bail out at this crucial and unavoidable moment. "I can't get undressed in front of a stranger, especially not a pretty girl." Emily suggested, "Would it be okay if I went into the change room to help instead?" Sarah thought that would be okay, not wanting to jeopardize the sale. She remembered last year's win had brought valuable bragging rights to the store. She hung the dresses on a hook in the change room and slipped out as Liam and Emily entered. "What size shoe do you wear?" Sarah asked Liam. Puzzled, Liam reported he needed a lady's size 8 shoe. "I'll be right back with a loaner pair of dress heels. The gowns won't look right otherwise." Emily helped Liam hang his clothes neatly on a hanger and into the first gown. Liam looked down and at the small mirror in the room that was just big enough for the two of them. "It looks nice," he said. "We need to take a proper look from all angles. The store has a well-lit area with 3 big mirrors for that," Emily said while pulling the slightly nervous Liam out of the change room. She guided him to the spotlit center of the viewing area, where Scarlett waited on a couch off to one side chatting with Sarah. A chorus of ohs gushed from both Scarlett and Sarah. "Wow, you look beautiful. Who knew my son could be the belle of the ball?" Animated chatter followed between the ladies as Liam soaked in his reflection in the 3-way mirrors. He looked long and elegant in a one-shoulder, sleeveless lavender gown that was straight, floor-length and had a long slit. Sarah showed him how to pose with one leg seductively jutting out of the slit. Emily and Scarlett debated whether the neckline was sufficiently conservative. Sarah noted that they could take in the bust line of the dress to better fit Liam's curves. Emily suggested that she might make a set of pads one size bigger to fit the dress. Sarah hadn't thought of that option. "With your flat stomach, you should try a 2-piece. You'd look great with a little tummy left showing." The next style had an open back on the top and a separate full skirt that draped to the floor in layers of pink tulle. "How will my bra straps not show under this?" asked Liam. "Not to worry, I've been researching how to make a set of false breasts that could be taped to your chest. No bra needed," said Emily. After trying 2 more dresses, a selection was made and a deposit left for the store to start the alterations. By this point it was past lunchtime and all 3 were hungry. Because they were a long way from home, Liam agreed to go out for lunch to a popular Italian restaurant chain that was nearby. He was still afraid that someone he knew might recognize him, but being on the opposite side of the city from their home made that unlikely. He also worried about being spotted by anyone as a boy in a skirt. He noticed, however, that no one ever seemed to look at him disapprovingly. He seemed to be accepted as a typical teenage girl. After seating them, the hostess even commented to Liam, "I like your shoes." Liam blushed through his foundation. "Thanks, they're new. Today is the first time I've worn them." That afternoon the 3 of them headed to a nearby shoe store that was known for carrying a large selection of formal evening styles. "I suggest we look for something in silver. Since we have chosen a bold color for the gown, a silver shoe will be a nice accent." Emily agreed with her mom and added, "It should also have a stiletto heel. The runway walking practice is paying off and you'll impress the judges by handling a heel gracefully." They selected a style and asked the staff for the size. This was a beautiful party shoe with micro-thin straps and a sexy, and very long, 120mm stiletto heel. Liam buckled up the ankle strap and took a few wobbly steps. Scarlett commented, "Having you look poised and self-assured will go a long way with the judges. Those heels might be a little too high." After all, many women who have worn heels for years could not handle something that high. "Let's find something that's high but not extremely high." They found an equally pretty style with a 100mm heel. It had a slightly wider strap over the toes for better stability as well. In these, Liam was as well balanced as he had been in his walking practice at home. "Those look great and you look great in them," commented Scarlett. The same store had a large selection of costume jewelry. You won't need a necklace because of the gown's high neck, but you should have a bracelet and earrings. They selected a rhinestone hoop earring and a small bracelet to accompany the rhinestone decoration on the shoes. Emily had leaned toward a bold, heavy bracelet to provide some extra sparkle, but Scarlett knowingly insisted that a light one would be best. After a long day out and about, Liam was glad to get home and take off the heels he had worn all day. Scarlett noticed him massaging the balls of his feet and commented, "It's ironic, but even for those of us that love wearing heels, one of the things I love most is taking them off at the end of the day." That week, the coaching sessions with Emily continued after school. Liam was gaining a natural-looking feminine poise. She showed him various poses that would look good in a gown. After a while, Liam could stop and stand without having to think about keeping his feet together and arms close to his sides. Knowing he would need to demonstrate a talent for that part of the pageant, he relied on the piano lessons he had taken for the last few years. Emily coached Liam on how to gracefully approach the piano bench in a long skirt and heels. Liam found it tricky to keep a toe hovering over the pedal if the foot was perched on a narrow stiletto. Finally, the day of the pageant had arrived. Emily, with help from Scarlett, had a big day planned. Liam was instructed to shower and wash his hair using only feminine scented products. He then styled his hair simply, put on casual day makeup and dressed casually in a pretty white sweater with voluminous sleeves, short tan suede skirt and matching suede ankle boots to go out for the first part of the planned activities. Scarlett, Emily and Lena parked near Scarlett's favorite salon. There Liam was treated to a complete makeover. First, a color was applied to his hair to turn the light brown into a pretty blonde. Liam objected weakly to the color but was reminded that he normally hid his hair under a cap anyway, so tomorrow the color would not matter. While the color was setting, a manicure and pedicure were done. Then a formal hairstyle done and bold evening makeup was applied. It was important that the makeup looked good to the audience when Liam was far away on stage. Back home, Liam changed into the prom dress and silver heels. The gown was a rich burgundy. The top had a high neckline with open shoulders and no sleeves and was studded with rhinestones looking like a starry night. The skirt was of a rich burgundy brocade fitted close down to the knees, then flowing out into layers of tulle. As Emily was fussing over details, Scarlett gave Liam a small white box with a bow. He opened it to find a pretty corsage that matched the burgundy of the dress he wore. As Scarlett placed it on his left wrist, Liam felt so pretty and struggled to fight back tears and to try to look like that wasn't exactly what he was doing. He already wore a light rhinestone cuff on his right arm, just above the elbow. Emily wore light makeup to make sure it was Liam that shined as the most beautiful girl in their group. She changed into the black tuxedo she had found in the ladies' pants formal section of the Hello Beautiful boutique. It was customary for the contestants' coach to escort them into the pageant. The sisters, mothers, or girlfriends who performed this role typically dressed boyish. Emily had decided not to pretend to be a man, no fake beards here. Rather, she had decided to be a girl wearing traditional male formal wear. The one exception to that were her shoes. She had selected black pumps that complemented the tux and made her the same height as Liam in his heels. She thought he would be perceived as less feminine by the judges if the contestant's male escort was shorter. Scarlett had chosen an elegant but simple gray skirt suit. She too was cautious to avoid stealing the limelight from Liam. After a light dinner, with Emily cautioning Liam to lean over the table to prevent spilling anything on his dress, all three touched up their lipstick and headed out to meet the photographer. The pond at the university was a popular spot for outdoor photos. Liam, or Lena, was radiant in the burgundy two-piece gown they had selected. She posed like a natural. The feminine pronoun seemed natural given that they had started using the name Lena, and she looked so pretty. Many poses of Lena alone were taken and a few with Emily and Scarlett at her sides. At the school, Liam was nervous about performing in front of a large crowd. However, Lena gracefully entered the room on Emily's arm when her name was called. As expected, there were a dozen contestants lined up on the stage displaying varying degrees of success at emulating femininity. A couple of the older boys had gamely volunteered to help raise funds for charity but were trying hard to look macho in their dresses. Most of the younger boys looked better. The ones that had not hit puberty yet were androgynous looking to start with and were likely young enough to still enjoy playing dress-up. Liam noted that a cheap wig effectively destroyed the illusion of femininity. Those that looked best either had a quality wig or, like Liam, had long enough hair to style effectively. One other contestant really stood out with a polished appearance. Kurt was a friend of Liam's, one grade behind in school, and was known as Katie for this evening. Emily thought the contest would come down to Lena or Katie. The MC went down the row, calling each contestant in turn. When number 8 came up, Lena strode gracefully forward to the end of the runway while the MC read a prepared short bio. Katie was number 11. Lena watched Katie walk smoothly to the end of the stage. She had chosen a short prom gown that showed off her shoes, which were much lower than Lena's. Lena was not surprised to see Katie performing well. Liam knew Kurt and his sister/coach were very creative. They excelled in art and music classes, which Liam shared, and their parents ran a dance studio. Once all contestants had walked the runway, they went backstage to relax as one at a time they came out for the talent portion. Liam had prepared an Elton John song to play on the piano. He'd hoped that would impress the parents and grandparents in the crowd. His playing was excellent as usual. The only indication of his nervousness from performing in front of a crowd was that his foot, perched atop a stiletto heel hovering over the piano pedal, left his ankle fluttering like a flag in the wind. Katie and her sister/coach leaned on their dance training for their performance. Together, they performed a ballroom dance routine with Katie following. How to follow a lead was clearly something that Kurt would have had to learn recently. After the final talent performance, all of the contestants gathered at the back of the stage without their coaches. 3 semi-finalists' names were read out. As Emily had expected, Lena and Katie had taken a few steps forward to the marks on the stage. Miss Congeniality was named first. She accepted her sash and a bouquet of flowers and stood off to one side of the stage. That left Lena and Katie standing at the marks. Both of the feminine-looking boys were quite nervous at this point and without thinking about it held each other's hand for support. The MC remarked, "Both of these contestants have done a fantastic job preparing for the pageant. I think either of you would be a serious competitor at any conventional beauty pageant. The judges struggled to select a winner as you each have supremely accomplished the goal of looking feminine. After much deliberation, they have determined that the first runner-up will be Lena." Katie spontaneously hugged Lena. After complimenting each other, Lena walked toward the MC and accepted her sash and bouquet. She stood off to the side, beside the other finalist, while Katie accepted her prize. Lena, or Liam, was deep in thought. After getting over his initial reluctance, Liam had thrown himself into the preparations for the contest. He had reveled in this newfound femininity, as well as the pampering and help he received from his mother, but especially Emily. They had always been fairly close as siblings, but for the last couple of months had shared a mutual activity that built a great trust between them. With the program complete, the contestants left the stage to meet their families. There were many congratulations offered to Lena on her excellent performance. Lena did not want the evening to end. Scarlett was sensing her youngest child's feelings and suggested they go out to celebrate. They ended up enjoying the warm summer evening with a snack on the patio of their favorite yogurt restaurant, all still in their formal wear. Finally back at home, Liam took off the prom dress that had made him feel so pretty. He washed his face and neatly stored the jewelry and lovingly placed the corsage back in its box. He reveled in the warm glow of what felt like the moist, satisfying day of his young life. As he pulled on his pajamas, he did not know how but knew he needed to think of a reason to dress like a girl again, publicly, not just in private. Becoming Lena had felt far too rewarding to abandon. It was the second last day of school before the summer break. Liam said hello to his sister Emily as he arrived home. Today it was her turn to cook. He knew their mother would not be home for about another hour, so he went into his room and closed the door. Just a week before, 15-year-old Liam had competed at his school's womanless pageant and finished a very close runner-up. Liam and the winner, Kurt, had wowed the crowd and the judges with convincingly feminine presentations. As he had done every day for the past week, Liam privately lifted the prom dress he had worn for the pageant and held it up to his slim build in front of the mirror. The previous 2 months had secretly brought great joy to him. With Emily coaching him every night on deportment, posture, hair and makeup, all while wearing skirts and heels, he had pretended to be interested only in winning the contest. Actually, he was afraid to let his mother and sister know that he had wanted to embrace femininity for as long as he could remember. The last week he had gone back to his boring sweatpants and tucking his long, full hair under a ball cap. He'd never shown any interest in dressing well because dressing in boys' clothes had no appeal. Liam's closet had become crowded with dresses and skirts. Although his father had passed away a few years ago, his mother was only too happy to support his contest entry. She welcomed the idea of getting Liam out of the house and involved in another school activity, so she bought whatever she and Emily thought would help Liam prepare. On his desk sat the mall gift certificate he had won in the pageant. The organizers no doubt thought that the boys who were finalists would enjoy spending it in the electronic games or computer stores. Liam had not gone to use it yet because he really wanted to spend it in cosmetics. He put on the tiara he had won before making one last twirl holding the dress, then put them away and headed downstairs for dinner. After dinner, Scarlett, Liam's mother, asked him for a private conversation. As they settled into either end of the sofa bed in Scarlett's office/guest bedroom, she noted, "You seem to be feeling down this last week. Is something bothering you?" "No, just back to the same old, replied a slightly defensive Liam. While he enjoyed a close relationship with both his mother and sister, he couldn't help being a somewhat defensive teenager, needing to assert some distance from a parent. "I'm wondering if going back to the same old life is getting you down. While you were practicing for the pageant, you seemed to come alive. As you spent your evenings at home dressed as a girl and practicing what Emily taught you about behaving girly, you were so enthusiastic, you seemed positively effervescent. At the pageant you looked absolutely natural, confidently strutting across the stage in heels and handling that long gown like a pro. That night I could see you didn't want the experience to end, that's why I suggested we go out to celebrate after the show. Now, you've gone back to the boring, uninspired casual boys' clothes you wore before, and your disposition seems as gray as your sweatpants." Liam sat there a little stunned. He was surprised his mother had so accurately read right through what he thought was an impenetrable facade of emotionlessness. "Liam, am I right? Putting Lena in the closet is why you're so glum?" Liam thought for a moment and decided there was no reason to not be frank. His mother clearly had a pretty good read on his feelings. "It just felt right. As long as I can remember, I wanted to be like Emily, to do the things she could do, but I was afraid you and especially Dad would think I had failed as a boy. Liam, I love you for who you are, not for becoming something anyone expects you to. You're caring, responsible, and sensitive to those around you. Your relentless curiosity will serve you well. I know your father felt the same." They both deeply missed Scarlett's late husband, yet had grown even closer now that there were only 3 left in the family. "So, we've established that you have a feminine side. It's also obvious that you're depressed if you feel you need to hide that part of your personality. Let's talk about how you could let that side out comfortably. You clearly enjoyed preparing for the pageant and participating in it. There won't be another one until next year. Is entering it again enough?" Liam considered that. It means I can't be feminine except at home until next year. Plus, no one has ever entered the school pageant twice. Everyone just treats it like a lark, a one-time thing. People would think I'm weird for doing it again. Okay, I hear that freeing your feminine side once a year would not suffice. I thought not. You're also concerned about possible social pushback from being seen as a boy that likes being girly. There are plenty of people who do not accept that. I remember when we were helping you prepare for the pageant, you went out in public a few times dressed as Lena. You looked so natural that Lena was accepted by the public. Would you like to explore being Lena in a safer environment? Liam replied, I would love to be Lena every day, but what would my friends say? When Lena went out prior to the pageant, we made a point of going to the far side of town where you would be very unlikely to meet anyone you knew. I have an idea. Would you like to explore what life as Lena would be like? Liam nodded vigorously. Then give me a day or two to make some calls. I'm suggesting you spend this entire summer as Lena, but away from here so none of your friends know. If you decide that is what you want, then you could announce a transition when you go back to school this fall. If being Lena full-time does not make you happy, you can go back to being Liam when school starts. Thanks, Mom, you're the best. Liam hugged Scarlett. He was overwhelmed by relief and gratitude for his mother's understanding and unconditional love. Scarlett gave her younger sister a call. Helen owned a Lu Castillo clothing franchise outlet and had lived alone since her divorce. The store had been very handy in helping Liam practice for the pageant. It focused on trendy clothes for teens and young women, so most of Lena's practice wardrobe had come from there. Hi sis, how's things? Scarlett took a few minutes to explain that Liam needed an opportunity to explore life as Lena. Since Helen lived on the opposite side of their large city, she asked if Helen would be willing to board him for the summer and take a role in guiding the emergence of Lena. Certainly, I'd love to help. Lena will need to have a life outside of the home too. Since Liam is 15, he, or I guess she, is eligible to work in the restaurant industry. I have a friend that owns the Dolce Vita restaurant. He is always struggling to get enough staff over the summer. Perhaps if Lena worked there, getting out and meeting the public would help Liam decide if life as Lena feels right. That's a great idea, Helen. Thank you so much. Making a full-time commitment to being Lena is just what's needed for Liam to come to terms with where he wants his life to go. Liam was ecstatic about the suggestion of spending the summer as Lena. He admitted he liked the idea of being in a location where no one knew him, as it held off the somewhat scary prospect of transitioning with people he knew. When he got home after the last day of school, he sat down with his sister Emily. Mom told me you were going to spend the summer at Aunt Helen's. Liam enthusiastically replied, Isn't it great? I get to be Lena for the whole summer. Auntie said she is even going to help me get a summer job. Is this what you really want? When I asked you to enter the pageant, you initially seemed so reluctant. After we got started, you seemed to be more enthusiastic and made a lot of effort to practice your deportment, which certainly paid off at the contest. Liam, is it because of me that you want to be someone else? Emily was worried that by pushing Liam to enter the pageant, she had upset the balance in his life. Emily, relax. You did not make me into something I'm not. You helped me to find the person I always wanted to be. Last year I envied the guys who entered the pageant, at least the ones that tried to look good. I so wanted to be one of them, to have the chance to express my femininity. My only reluctance to enter the contest was that I was ashamed of letting you and Mom see how badly I wanted it. Now I get to spend the whole summer living as Lena. Emily, I think I want to be Lena forever. Emily was surprised by that revelation. Wow, I had no idea you felt that way. So, you're not mad at me for pushing you into something that seems to have taken on a life of its own? Emily, thank you so much for helping me to find the courage to do this. Lena has existed inside me forever, but I kept her buried under a grumpy boy exterior. With your coaching, I realized that I could be a natural-looking girl. Mom wants me to be sure, but I know that after this summer I'll want to make an announcement that Liam is gone and Lena is here to stay. She promised to help me introduce Lena at school and even to make an appointment with a transition doctor if it is still what I want in the fall. Well, if that's what you want, how can I help? Asked Emily. Please help me learn what a girl would know by my age. I feel so uncertain about how to do makeup for different occasions, or what gestures or mannerisms are appropriate. In trying to be a typical boy, I feel I've missed out on so much that you already know. I so badly want to be Lena, but I'm afraid of having people see me as a boy in a dress. I really want people to look at Lena and just see a typical teenage girl. Emily felt her eyes tearing up a little as she responded, I love you, Liam. You've always been a sensitive and caring little brother. I guess once I get used to calling you Lena, you could be a great little sister. Liam hugged Emily. Thanks, Emily. You can't imagine how grateful I am for your help in unlocking Lena. Okay, let's quickly get you changed into Lena, then we'll have just enough time to make dinner before Mom gets home. No further prompting was needed. Emily grabbed Liam by the hand and dragged him to her closet. For a quiet night at home, you need something casual instead of the formal heels and dresses we bought for you to use practicing for the pageant. She flipped through a few hangers and selected a pretty peach-colored romper that was off the shoulder and had white dots all over. Here, go put this on with your white sneakers. Those look totally unisex anyway. Emily, those sneakers of mine are girls' shoes. Since I inherited Mom's skinny bone structure, men's shoes don't fit my super narrow feet. Mom has been helping me find girls' shoes that look unisex for a while now. Well, okay then, that's one less thing we need to convert to make your wardrobe suitable for Lena. Take this elastic and pull your hair into a high ponytail, then come help me with dinner. When Scarlett walked in, she was not too surprised to see both kids working on dinner. She said hello to anyone and no one in particular as she walked past to get changed from her office attire into something more comfortable. Emily was stirring something on the stove and Liam was setting the table. Scarlett stopped short when she saw that Liam was wearing a romper and a ponytail. Oh, hi Lena, she said and continued on to her bedroom. Scarlett had thought of her youngest child as a boy for 15 years. If becoming Lena is what made him happy, she would support it, but she thought may take a bit of getting used to. Lena looked up, a little surprised, and then beamed at hearing the feminine name from her mother. The next morning, Scarlett wore a casual blue summer dress with white stripes, brown flat-thigh sandals and a woven hat with a wide brim. Lena had spent the last evening with Emily helping to provide a mani-pedi that included painting Lena's toenails and fingernails a soft pink. For the day's outing they had planned, Emily helped Lena select a simple pink miniskirt, a plain white t-shirt, and had loaned her a pair of flat gray slides and a small black purse with a long shoulder strap. Emily had done Lena's makeup as she had the whole time they practiced for the pageant. You'll have to learn to do this yourself now, she commented. The cosmetics store in the mall by Auntie's house gives free lessons to their club members. We'll get you signed up today. After a quick breakfast, they loaded a large suitcase into the car that contained all of the clothes, shoes, and makeup they had bought for Lena while she was practicing for the pageant. The next stop was a mall on the far side of the city. Since all of Lena's shoes had been heels, which she needed to practice walking in for the pageant, they stopped at a shoe store and selected a few pairs of flats and casual low heels. Next they went to a few clothing stores and picked out some casual summer outfits. Finally, a trip to a drugstore was made to stock up on feminine scented toiletries and a few hair accessories that would be needed for casual looks. Scarlett asked, Lena, would you like to get your ears pierced? Yes please, and can I get my septum done too? Asked an enthusiastic Lena. Scarlett had anticipated the possibility of more daring piercing requests. As long as Lena chose something that could be removed and leave minimal scarring, she was okay with it. Okay, note that you will have to leave the first set of studs in place for about 6 weeks before you can change them. I checked ahead and there is a piercing shop not far from here with a good safety rating and good customer reviews. A beaming Lena walked out of the piercing shop sporting 3 new piercings. At her mother's insistence, she had selected a very small horseshoe-shaped jewelry for the septum piercing. Since she was planning on working over the summer, it needed to be something that could be flipped up and hidden in case the employer did not accept piercings. The 3 ladies piled out of the car in front of Helen's condo. "Well, hello, come on in," Helen greeted them. "Lena, look at you, you're gorgeous." She showed Lena the guest bedroom she would be using for the summer. Helen had never had children, and since her divorce last year she had buried herself in the work of running the store. She was quite looking forward to having someone to talk to at home with her nephew, or niece as it may be, in the house. As they sat down to dinner, Helen noted, "I have arranged an interview for Lena tomorrow afternoon with my friend that owns the nearby Dolce Vita restaurant. He has a position for a hostess. It doesn't get the tips that a table server does, but the servers all start in another position. If you perform well, then you get a chance as a server the next season." Lena was nervous about performing in front of the general public but looked forward to the opportunity to earn some cash of her own. After dinner, Lena and Emily were asked to clean up the kitchen while Scarlett and Helen went into another room for a private conversation. "Helen, I really appreciate you helping us out this way." "It's no trouble. Lena really does look natural. I have no concern about her fitting in." Scarlett added one caution: "Please be supportive but not too encouraging to Lena. This summer is meant for Liam to explore what life as Lena would be like so he can make a decision before school starts. If Lena is his choice, then he will have to come out to everyone he knows. I just don't want him to get hurt by taking that step if later decides to go back being Liam." "I understand. I'll make sure that he gets a chance to explore life as a girl in a safe environment." "Thank you so much," Scarlett said as she hugged her younger sister. The next day, Helen took Lena to meet Carl, the owner of Dolce Vita. Helen had coached Lena on how to make a good impression. Lena was wearing the same casual yet trendy outfit she had worn for prom dress shopping: a short rust-colored skit, black close-fitting knit top, black leather jacket and black ankle boots with a moderately high chunky heel. Carl greeted the teen warmly. "Hello, Lena. Helen tells me you are looking for your first summer job. Come into my office and tell me about what you have done that required interacting with the public." Helen took a seat in the lounge as Lena went into the interview with Carl. Liam had been heavily involved in the school music program, so Lena went on to speak of volunteering to take tickets at school concerts and plays, about performing, and even discussed her recent experience as a beauty contestant. She didn't elaborate on the part about it being a womanless beauty contest. Carl liked the enthusiasm Lena conveyed and heard about enough experience with people to be satisfied. "I'll tell you about the work and the dress code. Our hostesses typically work 4 to 6 hour shifts. You'll start with a short shift as your job will be to back up the main hostess over the busiest time. You need to greet the guests warmly, make them feel welcome, and to help the servers when they need a hand. Typically that means helping to carry out the plates when a table's meals are ready, or by bussing an empty table and resetting it for the next round. Of course, the main function of a hostess is to take calls and make reservations and to seat people as they come in. You'll learn how to keep track of when people will likely be done so you know when the next table will be available. It's a lot to handle at a fast pace, but if you learn from those who have been here a while, you'll pick it up quickly. As for the dress code, waitresses and hostesses wear skirts above the knee, around fingertip length is best. A close-fitting top, not too low-cut, without a jacket, and at least 3 pieces of jewelry, one of which must be a statement piece. It helps provide a conversation starter. Shoes or ankle boots must be clean and scuff-free. Heels are to be minimum 1.5 high, but I recommend going for about a 3 heel. What you're wearing now looks great, just without the jacket, and I'd add a statement necklace or possibly an oversized watch. Makeup should be slightly bold, attractive yet classy. Think of an evening out look that your mother would approve of. No facial piercings other than the typical earlobes, and no visible tattoos. The dress code is intended to be trendy and attractive to our typical family customers, yet subtle enough to not be off-putting. Lena was a little taken aback by the dress requirements and unsure what to think. She simply said, "Okay, when can I start?" "Can you start on Monday at 5? That will give you a chance to work a couple of shifts on the slower weeknights before you get to a big rush on the weekend. Be here an hour early on the first day so we can give you a tour." After they left the restaurant, Lena told Helen about the dress code. Helen was unsurprised. She had secretly thought that a restaurant job would be a good introduction to life as a girl precisely because of requirements like that. "You have several pieces that are appropriate. Let's stop at my shop and get you a couple more so you have a change. If you'll be working there 3 or 4 days a week, you should have that many different outfits. Your mom provided a clothing budget since we knew you would need to expand your wardrobe at some point." While they were picking out a few pieces, Lena commented to her aunt, "I thought I would be getting more hours. Carl said I could expect 3 or 4 shifts a week of 4 or 6 hours each. I had hoped to save up to buy a car when I turned 16 this winter. A couple of months working only half-time won't be enough. Would you like to work part-time at my store too? I have the same issue as Carl. My regular staff is likely to take their vacation time over the summer and I need extra help to fill in. At El Castillo, I need people who can dress in the latest fashions and help customers coordinate their outfits. Emily told me it was you who picked out the prom gown you wore for the pageant. Is your color-matching skill and knowledge of teen girls' fashion up to the task?" Lena thought that under the circumstances she could safely reveal a little secret. "I've been reading teen fashion magazines online for years," she admitted. "Well then, let's have you start stocking shelves and handling the till. Once you learn the layout of the store, you can start helping customers. I can provide you with about the same number of hours a week as the restaurant. Oh, and since my business is focused on trendy teen girls, you can let your nose piercing show." "Thanks, Auntie, you'll see I'll make you proud." That evening, Lena went to the cosmetics store for a lesson. Tonight's topic was the smoky eye. She walked out feeling great but thinking that this look might be just a bit much for the restaurant. She was a little nervous, being out alone in public. Lena had never been out in public before without the support of a family member. She was concerned that someone might recognize that this was not actually a girl but did not notice any negative reactions. She stopped in an accessories store and spent time looking around. After selecting a couple of large necklaces and a watch with a large face, she discovered how hard it can be to find a wallet at the bottom of a purse. On Monday, Lena caught the bus for a short ride over to the restaurant. She did not want to take a long walk in heels if she had to work a shift on her feet. She was confident that Carl would approve of her outfit. It started with a close-fitting black dress which had a modest neck and long sleeves, the hem ending at mid-thigh. Below that she had black tights and her black ankle boots. Lena had measured the chunky heel and they were exactly 3-inch. "Hello Lena, you look good," Carl welcomed her. "Be sure to add more jewelry for next time. The long sleeve dress is okay but sleeveless would be better." Again, Lena was surprised with the frank critique of what she was wearing from her new boss. After a tour of the restaurant, including the kitchen, back storerooms and break room, Lena was introduced to Abby, the main hostess for the evening. Abby was in her second year of college, so was a few years older. There were very few customers in the restaurant as it was late afternoon and the dinner rush was an hour away. Abby set about explaining how the tables were numbered, the sections defined and how they tracked when customers arrived. They needed to keep the sections evenly filled so the servers were not overloaded nor lacking for work. They would get upset with the hostesses if they perceived an unequal opportunity for tips. It seemed like a lot to keep track of, but Lena paid close attention, wanting to make a good impression with the boss and her new colleagues. Once guests started arriving, Lena was kept busy arranging tables for large parties, carrying out meals, and at Abby's direction seating parties that came in. She had at first thought that the restaurant looked to be not too big, but after a couple of hours of walking it end to end found that doing so in heels was quite tiring. There were no bussers on staff, so Lena cleared all of the tables. Abby explained bussers only work weekends, the hostesses do it all on weeknights. By the third hour, Lena found such pain in the balls of her feet that she was walking slightly ungracefully. She also felt that something was wrong with her right pinky toe but was too busy to stop and take a look. "I thought that Mondays were supposed to be slower," Lena said to Abby. "They are slower, but the staff level is cut back, so we're just as busy," replied Abby. "You look like you're limping a little. Are those new shoes?" "I've worn them a couple of times before, but never when working on my feet for hours," Abby advised, assuming they're a good fit. "Be sure to add gel cushions. When I started, I had blisters for the first few days until I built up calluses on the rub points. Now when I need a new pair of shoes for work, I wear them at home for a week to break them in before doing a shift in them." Lena appreciated the tips. At the end of the shift, Lena thanked Abby for the help in learning ropes and caught the bus back to Aunt Helen's. Her cheeks hurt from smiling all night. As she hobbled into the house and pulled off her boots, Helen asked, "My goodness, what's wrong? You look like you're in pain." Lena explained that her feet hurt from so much walking in heels. "Be sure to wear a comfortable pair of sneakers to and from work, Lena. That will save some wear and tear on your feet as well as helping to keep your shoes clean and scuff-free if you only wear them inside. Tomorrow, for your first shift at the clothing store, you can wear trendy flats, which will give your feet a day to recover before you're back in heels at the restaurant." "Thanks, Auntie," Lena replied. She had not expected a dress code to be so painful. On Tuesday, Lena worked a day shift at the clothing store. Aunt Helen helped her choose an outfit consisting of tight-fitting blue jeggings, a long loose white shirt with a long burgundy sweater over it. Auntie showed Lena how to tie her hair into a cute bun that would keep it out of her face while working. A new pair of purple sneakers would give her feet a rest to and from work at least. Helen explained, "Sneakers are a little too casual for meeting customers, but you can wear those new lace-up gladiator flats in the store." Lena spent the afternoon organizing shelves, restocking clothes left behind in the change room, and learning how to ring purchases through the till. Most of the customers were teen girls, and Lena was enjoying chatting about clothes with them. Later in the day, Lena was picking up dresses from the change room when a girl stepped out and examined the green dress she was trying in the long mirror. "What color shoes would work with this?" she asked. Lena thought the girl was speaking to her. She did not see Helen standing at the end of the row of stalls. "Black or white are a safe choice with almost any color. It's difficult to get an exact match for a color like that. If you want to mix it up, the safest option for accessories would be to go with the nearest colors on the color wheel, not green but a complementary blue or yellow. If you want to be a little more daring, you could go with the contrasting color on the opposite side of the wheel. In this case, a pale pink would pop out without clashing." Lena showed the customer a pair of pumps they had that were a gorgeous contrast to the medium green of the dress. At home that evening, Lena was wearing her comfy sneakers and helping Helen prepare dinner. "Lena, you did great today. You had terrific insight into how to accessorize the dress that girl wanted. How did you learn that when all I ever saw you wear was jeans or plain old sweats?" "I like reading fashion magazines, and I learned about the color wheel and how to use it in art class. I just never applied it to what I wear because boy clothes are not interesting to me. It was fun today to talk about clothes and help put together outfits. Well, it seems we've unlocked a hidden talent. I'm glad to have you in the store, at least for the summer. That evening, Emily came by and the sisters went out to the coffee shop at the end of the mall. "So, tell me how it's going." Emily was anxious to hear how her brother was getting along with the life as a girl experiment. "Well, everyone seems to accept me as a girl. I was worried about someone asking what I was, but there have been no negative comments. In fact, there was a man at the restaurant with his family that seemed to almost be coming on to me. As I seated them, I smiled and was just being friendly. After all, it's my job to make the customers feel welcome." He was very friendly and wanted to chat on and on. "I finally had to make an excuse to leave their table and get back to work. There were other people in line at the door." "Well, it's great to hear you're being accepted as a girl. Most guys are fine to deal with. Sometimes you meet someone who doesn't read cues and doesn't know when to stop. At work you could usually make an excuse about being needed elsewhere. If the flirtation starts to feel dangerous, be sure to call in help from a coworker." "Thanks, Emily. I had a blast shopping for my new clothes. And working at Auntie's clothing store is sort of like that because I can help the customers put together outfits." "Well, that's the fun part of being a girl. What has struck you as different from life as a boy?" Lena pondered this for a moment. "It takes a lot longer to get ready to go out." Emily laughed. "That's only partly because it's more work for a girl to get ready. Even as a boy you put in less effort at dressing than most." "You may be right. I feel great looking like this, but I'll need to get used to the extra time it takes." For her next shift at the restaurant, Lena chose a classy outfit she was sure would fit in well. It started with a knee-length black dress with see-through long sleeves. She chose black pumps and wore her hair down. When Carl, the manager, saw her, he commented, "That dress is too long. Wear something shorter next time or I'll have to send you home to change." "You did well with the customers last time. You made them feel welcome." Lena appreciated the comment about her work but was taken aback by the negative reaction to what she thought was a tasteful outfit. Later, when the rush was slowing a little, she told Abby about what Carl had said. "He wants us to walk a very fine line. We need to be sexy but not sleazy. Your dress looks great, but it's just not quite the subtle haughty look he wants to see." Lena was taken aback. "He wants us to be hotties?" "Of course. This is a family restaurant, right? Did you notice that even in the 21st century it's the man that pays the tab most of the time? Carl wants the frontline staff here to be attractive to the ones who pull out the wallet. At the same time, we can't slip over into sleazy or it could turn off the others in the party. Notice that the busboys are all boys? Also that only a couple of the table servers are guys, and they're super handsome. The staff that interacts with the customers has to be good-looking and preferably girls. He would have offered you a kitchen job if you weren't pretty." Lena was surprised by a couple of revelations, that the restaurant industry was so focused on looks and that people thought she was pretty. Having lived as girl for only a week, she still felt a little like a boy in a costume, hoping no one would see through the disguise. A few weeks later, Scarlett drove across town to meet Helen for dinner at the Dolce Vita restaurant where Lena was working. Lena was surprised to see them, but seated the pair and quickly went back to work. The ladies chatted for a while, catching up on their busy careers. Both kept a close eye on Lena. Helen commented, "She looks totally natural as a hostess. She's friendly to the customers, makes them feel welcome. I can see she's paying attention to the job. Carl told me that he's pleased. He'd like to have her back next summer." Scarlett replied, "I'm glad he's doing well. I thought he would have initiative, but a parent is always worried. Like any typical teen, I have to badger him, I mean her, to clean up her room. It really is hard to get used to using the feminine pronoun for Liam. He's been my son for 15 years and my daughter for a few weeks. I was a little worried he wouldn't put in effort at work, but it looks like that might have been just a bad reaction to the mom giving orders. How is Lena doing at your store? She's great there too. I was satisfied that Liam looked good, so I had no worries about him being in the store. I assumed that Lena would have no experience with fashion or color and was uncertain about how she would interact with customers. I thought I'd play it safe and had her starting with stocking shelves and cleaning up. She not only did that well but just jumped in whenever a customer needed something. Her fashion sense is great and she is a natural with people there too. As the ladies talked, they observed Lena noticing that an order was up. Without prompting, Lena grabbed a couple of plates and helped the server deliver them to the table. Helen continued, "You know, I can't help but think that Liam was hiding in a shell. Becoming Lena seems to have opened up an entire side of personality that I had not seen before. Lena looks right. Have you thought about what happens if Liam decides to keep living as Lena?" "Yes, I have thought about that." I could see that enthusiasm bubbling out as he started practicing for the pageant Emily asked him to enter. These last few weeks, as he has lived as Lena full-time, I can see that he seems to be very comfortable this way. I'm not going to pressure him one way or the other, the decision must be his. I have done some research and have a plan in case he wants to remain as Lena when school starts. I'm worried about the transition being difficult. If that is what he decides, I'll work with his school principal and our doctor to make the transition as smooth as possible. Helen noted, Liam is lucky to have someone so understanding as a parent. Many trans kids don't have it so lucky. And thank you so much, Helen, for helping him this summer. He needs this relatively safe space to explore and come to a decision. I really can't thank you enough. One day when Lena did not have a shift at the store or the restaurant, she put on her rust-colored miniskirt with a white tube top and a white pair of chunky-heeled sandals. She set out on a trip to the mall. Enjoying the feel of her long hair brushing over her bare shoulders, Lena thought about how natural this felt. She shopped in clothing stores feeling like any teen girl. She had become so comfortable living as Lena that people she met reacted to that confidence and saw only an attractive young lady. Walking purposefully toward a store carrying a bag with new shoes and her purse slung confidently over the other elbow, Lena was surprised to hear a familiar voice. "Liam, is that you?" Lena stopped short and turned toward the voice. She looked straight into the eyes of Kurt, her friend from high school. Kurt had narrowly beat Lena for the crown at last spring's womanless pageant at their school. With a trembling voice, Lena answered, "Hi Kurt, yes it's me." Suddenly her bare shoulders and legs felt very exposed. Afraid of how her friend would react to seeing Liam dressing as a girl in public, Lena looked down at her turquoise toenails poking out from the white shoes and wanted to run away. Now she felt vulnerable wearing those chunky heels and thought she couldn't outrun her grandma in them. "Why are you dressed as a girl?" exclaimed Kurt. "Well, I'm spending the summer living as Lena," she explained. "Oh." Kurt paused, letting that revelation sink in. "You look great. If I hadn't seen you dressed as a girl at the womanless pageant, I never would have recognized you." The two looked at each other, not sure where to go next. Getting over the initial shock, Kurt became curious. "Hey, I haven't seen you in over a month and now I see you've made some big changes. Have you got some time? I'd love to grab a latte with you and hear about your summer." Lena could see that Kurt seemed genuinely interested and his tone was completely non-threatening. That helped her relax a little. She accepted the offer. The two teens settled into a booth in a quiet corner of the coffee shop. Kurt started, "The last time I saw you was at the womanless pageant we entered. I remember you looked great and I was surprised that the judges picked me as the winner." Lena was relaxing a little. "I had a great time that night. You looked fantastic as Katie, compared to most of the contestants who did not take it seriously. you must have put a lot of effort into that persona. What was it that interested you in a project like that? Well, you know how much I enjoy the performing arts. I've been acting in every school play since elementary school, and I want to make a career as an actor. When I saw the call for entrance in the womanless pageant, I thought it would be a great challenge. For the pageant, I would play the role of a girl in a pageant, but ad-libbing the entire role live on stage. My mom agreed to be my coach. I hang out at my parents' dance studio all the time anyway, so I used that time to train in my role. To be a great ballroom dancer, my dad always said you have to be great at both parts, so I've been practicing the gentleman's and the lady's roles for years. In preparing for the pageant, I went to the studio 3 or 4 times a week dressed as Katie and practiced dancing in heels. You wouldn't believe what a great way that is to improve your balance and leg strength. Mom and Dad are always asking me to fill in as a partner whenever one of their classes has an uneven number of men and women. I just kept doing that as Katie. No one at the studio ever guessed I wasn't a girl. I also searched for regular girl beauty pageants online and rehearsed the answers to questions. I wanted to be able to answer the judges' questions and look like a real pageant contestant. I didn't care if the answers were good answers, only that my response looked like what some girl had actually said in a contest. Lena, let that sink in for a moment. Between your treating it as an acting role and the poise you had from dancing must have been why the judges selected you as winner. Kurt replied, I remember you looked completely natural in that prom dress. You must have been practicing a lot too. Why did you enter the contest? Lena admitted she had practiced every day at home for weeks prior to the pageant. Emily, my sister, is working towards a career in theatrical makeup. She encouraged me to enter because she wanted the challenge of converting me into a convincing girl. Lena was feeling much more comfortable by now talking to Kurt, who seemed to be completely accepting of the fact that he knew Lena was actually Liam in a skirt. Nonetheless, she hesitated before adding, I agreed because I had always wanted to know what it would feel like to be a girl. Kurt replied, wow, and you said you're spending the summer living as a girl. You still look terrific. I guess I should call you Lena, if that's okay? With a blush and a slight smile, Lena nodded. Kurt asked, are you worried about how you'll go back to being Liam when school starts next month? Lena realized she was going to have to come out to the world, and feeling safe with her friends seemed like a good place to start. Well, I don't think I want to go back. This feels right to me, being Lena. I think I'm going to stay this way. Wow, I hadn't thought of that. Kurt took a minute to reflect on this unexpected revelation. He could see that Lena was nervous, worried about his reaction. He also quickly realized that this transition would likely be difficult, not everyone would accept that change. Lena, you know you've got a friend in me. Lena wiped away a small tear. Thank you so much, Kurt, I was so afraid of being rejected. That's why my mom arranged for me to spend this summer on the side of town, hoping I would not bump into anyone I knew until I had made a final decision. The two friends finished their drinks and got up to leave. You know, Lena, you always looked much too skinny as a guy, but you look just right as a girl. You really do look good. I never would have guessed if I hadn't known you before. Hey, you should take dance lessons at our studio. I could teach you the basics. That's a great idea, Kurt. I'd love the chance to work on poise and gain more confidence managing heels. Kurt texted the phone number of the studio so Lena could set an appointment, and they parted company. Lena had been shaken by the first chance meeting with someone Liam knew. However, Kurt's acceptance of Lena had restored her confidence. She was beaming as she confidently strode out of the mall. With 1 week left before school started in the fall, Scarlett arranged to meet with Lena at Helen's house while Helen was working. They needed time for a private conversation. Well, Lena, I hear from Helen that you have become a valuable employee at her store, and through the grapevine that your work at the restaurant has been good too. How do you feel about your, experiment, living the summer as a girl? Lena was unsure if her mother would be disappointed, but had to be honest. Mom, this feels right to me. I love living as a girl, and I want to stay as Lena. I admit there were some surprises. I was not prepared for how the girls in some restaurants are objectified. Also, there were times when I felt very vulnerable. I loved the way I looked and appreciated the compliments, but a couple of times I felt like it was more of a come on that I was not ready for. Plus, I was so looking forward to living in heels, but a 6-hour shift on heels sucks. Scarlett laughed. I hear you. Heels are awesome. I feel feminine and confident when I'm in a great pair of shoes, but they do not work well for a lot of standing. After sharing a chuckle, Lena commented, Mom, I really want to stay as Lena, but I'm afraid of how the kids at school will react. Scarlett replied, I suspected as much. I can see that living as Lena brought out an entirely new side of your personality that had been kept under wraps. You're positively beaming where I would have called Liam's demeanor as generally morose. Over this summer, every time I saw you it was clear that this was right for you. I expected you would want to keep living as Lena. I've been doing research on how to manage a transition. The first thing we will do is make an appointment with your school principal to get his help in drafting a plan for the transition at school. I found out that there is a gender-neutral washroom available there. The school has already created a safe space for a situation like yours. I met with Dr. Paula last week and we talked about your situation. You told our family doctor about me? Exclaimed Lena. Yes, I wanted to get her input. Whatever you decided, I thought you would likely benefit from some counseling at the very least. She knows a specialist right here in town that works with transgender kids. Now that we know which way you want to go, I will make an appointment for you to meet him. You can discuss how you feel, where you want to go, and decide how you want to get there. Lena hugged Scarlett tight. Thanks, Mom. I was afraid you would want me to go back to being Liam. I want you to be you. If Lena feels right to you, then I'm fine with having 2 daughters. By the way, you might want to call Emily when we're done. She knows what we're discussing today and is desperately waiting for the answer. It's your announcement to make, so I'll leave it to you. Don't tell her I said so, but she's hoping you will choose Lena. She thinks you'll be more fun as a little sister. After working one last shift at the clothing store and at the restaurant, Lena packed her bags and thanked her Aunt Helen for all she had done to help Lena come out and meet the world. When Scarlett and Emily pulled up, it took all 3 of them to carry Lena's things out to the car. There was a lot more now than when she arrived. After one more hug with Aunt Helen, Lena drove off with Scarlett and Emily and back into her old, yet completely new, life.